the general fund or the fire district fund or your SPLOST and T-SPLOST funds. These statements here provide the user of the financial statements with information on the county as a whole. So this is everything together. So on page 15 and 16, we have a statement of net position. That is a summary of all the assets and liabilities and the difference of those being the county's net position as of September 30th, 2025. The statements here include the governmental activities and the business type activities. So just to remind you what that means, the governmental activities include your governmental fund types activities, your general fund, your SPLOST, your T-SPLOST, your fire district fund, and your business type activities include your landfill and your Mountain Cove fund. So those are in two different columns on the financial statements. And these financial statements are presented on the accrual basis of accounting. So those are a different basis of accounting than what you're accustomed to looking at for your general fund. And one of the key differences is these, for the governmental type activities, include depreciation expense on your infrastructure, on your buildings and your equipment, whereas your governmental fund types, such as your SPLOST fund and your general fund, you're expensing those when you purchase them. And here, you're expensing them over time. So that's one of the key differences. The business type activities are on a full accrual basis here and also at the fund level. So you won't see a change in these statements to your proprietary fund types for the landfill and Mountain Cove. But a substantial change here, seeing the whole county combined and on a full accrual basis of accounting versus seeing what you're accustomed to seeing month to month. The county also does have a component unit presented here. That's the health department. It is in a separate column on these statements. But wanted to just touch base on, what these financial statements show us. So as I said, 15 and 16, statement of net position, that lists all the county's assets and liabilities, resulting in the net position, which is the assets less the liabilities. And then on page 17, we have a statement of activities. That would be similar to a profit and loss statement in the private sector. So this is the county's revenues and expenses for that period 10/1/24 to 9/30/25. So we'll move to the next slide and we'll just look at where did the county end up with their net position. So you'll see here at 9/30/25, the county ended up with a total net position of $164 million. You'll see that on page 16. That is everything as a whole. So that includes the governmental type activities as well as the business type activities. And you'll see that that net position is broken down into various components. Net investment in capital assets, as you see, is a large component, $120 million. That includes the county's capital assets, which would be infrastructure, your roads, your bridges, your equipment, your vehicles, your buildings, your land, any construction in progress that may be underway at 9/30/25, less any accumulated depreciation. When we've expensed those over time, that depreciation, for example, if you paid $100,000 for a fire truck and you're expensing $10,000 a year, you may have $30,000 of accumulated depreciation after 3 years, for example. So that's a net number. It is less any debt related to those assets. The county does not have any long-term debt, but there could be some accounts payables, for instance, that was owed at the end of the year on some of those included assets. So it would be net of that number as well. And then you'll see you've got the restricted net position. Restricted net position is restricted for purpose. What mostly makes up that $14 million restricted net position are your restricted funds. Your T-SPLOST, your SPLOST money can only be spent for certain things. And then you've got your unrestricted net position, $28 million. That is not restricted for purpose and can be spent based on what the board sees fit. And then that comes to the total net position that we mentioned of $164 million. That is a decrease over the prior year. And what that means is the expenses for that period, FY25, exceeded the revenues that come in. Now, I want to give you just a few factors that came into that for FY25. There's a lot going on in FY25. So just wanted to mention a few of those. One, public works expenses are up. If you look at what T-SPLOST expended this year, it's $14 million expended this year out of the T-SPLOST fund. If you look at what ARPA expended this year, $5 million expended out of ARPA this year. Now, so those are in expenses, but they do have a related revenue. LMIG grant runs through the T-SPLOST. T-SPLOST is the match for that. ARPA came in from the SLRF money from the federal government, and that was paid out and accrued during the year to the Water Authority. So the public works expenses alone were up significantly. And also there was a change in the accounting. So if you were to look at how the county has accounted for resurfacing in the past, which is just resurfacing the road, new asphalt, the county had capitalized that in the past, meaning we did not expense it all at one time. And with the change in finance, a decision was made to expense that going forward as a maintenance item because it happens so often. So that is one key difference over the prior year and why you do see a larger public works expense this year. But also keep in mind that bridges repair, right-of-way repair, those resurfaces were funded by LMIG and T-SPLOST. If you were to look at that statement of activities, you'll also see an increase in public safety over the prior year. A large part of that is that the pension plan opened back up. So the pension plan opening back up was about a $5 million increase in the liability. Public safety includes fire, E911, and sheriff. So obviously it's the larger function of the county. And you would expect public safety to see more of that expense. And it did. Personal services were up during the year. If you recall, the county changed its PTO policy. So where employees had accumulated time off, vacation and sick time and comp time over years, the county, in an effort to control that potential liability, revised that policy. And that resulted in a payout of some PTO time during the year. Hit multiple departments, but of course, again, public safety, including the departments it does, saw a large part of that increase. Health claims were up this year, something else that drove up personal services for the year. One other thing I wanted to mention, the housing development line item expenses were up for the year. I wanted to mention that there was a $1.25 million grant that passed through. So the expenses are up due to that grant, but that grant and funding did come in from the DCA. And also pilot payouts were up about $600,000. The revenue was up as well. Advertising cost was up during the year. Hotel motel revenue was up during the year. So a lot of these changes are related to things or decisions that were made, contracts that may have been signed previously, like the ARPA, for example, was decided a few years ago, ultimately got dispersed to the Water Authority in this year. And of course, the T-SPLOST often is based on, when the projects occur. And then the PTO payout this year, obviously it's going to be more this year because that's when you change the policy. The pension liability, when you open the pension plan back up, that expense is going to hit this year stronger because that is when the actuary adjusted that liability. So that's why you're seeing so much movement this year, a lot of these larger things, many that are one time. It doesn't mean there won't be a PTO payout in the future. It doesn't mean you won't have to fund that pension plan in the future, but you're seeing that liability get adjusted this year for the pension. you're seeing that larger cash PTO payout in this year of the change. So just wanted to point out some of those things. And again, this is the county as a whole. So there is a lot of activity going into these numbers. I actually looked because I was curious to see if you looked on the statement of activities, and I believe the public safety expense is $28 million. There's over 500 accounts that make up that number from 7 different funds. So just to give you some insight as to what makes up these county as a whole statements. I also noted in my comparison to the prior year that there were some positions filled in various departments in the fiscal year 25 that were previously unfilled. So that's another reason for the personal services being up. But ultimately, with all of that going on, the county did still end the year with a net position of $164 million. Going to move now to the next slide, and we're going to spend some time talking about the general fund. A lot of the activity in the general fund we've just covered with the changes in personal services and such, but with the general fund being the county's main operating fund, we of course want to spend some time talking about it. This is probably what you're more accustomed to looking at on a monthly basis, the general fund, by itself. So the general fund statements themselves are on pages 18, 21, 24, and 25. The county does present a budget to actual statement. So you're able to see the actual expenditures as compared to the budget. And just looking at the general fund activity, revenues were up $2 million over the prior year. And that was a combination of property taxes, sales taxes, insurance premium taxes, and also an increase in intergovernmental revenues. Typically, intergovernmental revenues are coming from another government, but are not a tax. So an example of an intergovernmental revenue would be a grant, for instance. Expenditures in the general fund increased $6 million over the prior year. And I've included on this slide the larger departmental increases, and for the most part, they're the same type of increases. Governing body, sheriff, jail operations, highways and streets. You see that personal services there is included in each department. And as we discussed, the PTO payouts, the health insurance claims, the pension being opened back up, are in some of those filled positions. Of course, we're seeing that in the general fund as we've seen it in the county as a whole financials as well. Also, some contract services up as well in sheriff and in the governing body and highways and streets. One thing that I like to do when I look at the general fund, and I don't have this on the slide, but I like to look at the general fund balance. A lot of times I'll get a question, are we in good shape? How are we compared to other governments? And what I always like to go to, and I think I probably provided this information last year as well, is I like to look at the general fund and see how many months of unassigned fund balance the county has. And at 9/30/25, the county had 8.19 months of unassigned fund balance. So that means that's not restricted. It hasn't been assigned by management for another purpose. And
could you repeat that number?
Yes, 8.19 months. So based on the 2025 fiscal year level of expenditures, there was unassigned fund balance that would cover that for 8.19 months. And I also wanted to point out that the county has no long-term debt. I know I mentioned that earlier. If you recall, last year, the general fund moved some funds to the Development Authority and paid off that debt. And you'll see that on the next slide, actually. So on slide 6, this is the general fund revenues and other financing sources and expenses and other financing uses. And what that means is, for the most part, this also includes transfers. So if you look at that blue line, revenue, well, you see we've got a higher revenue in 2023. ARPA transferred a good bit of money into the general fund in 2023. And then if you see that comes back down in 2024 as expected. And then in 2024, the green line spikes up. That's expenditures. Well, as I just mentioned, the general fund transferred about $10 million to the Development Authority and paid off that debt. So then you see that green line come back down. So you see in 2025, the revenues and expenses, the green and the blue line get closer together. And I wanted to point out, why those spikes, just remind you what those spikes up and down are. Moving on to page 7, I have a slide about the landfill. And here we are looking at a 3-year trend of the operating revenues and expenses. And you'll see that the expenses did increase from 24 to 25. You see that spike up. And again, the reason behind that is the things that we've already talked about. There was a PTO payout. The pension opened back up. Health claims were up. So the landfill itself, with the pension only, saw about $160,000 increase in expense. So that's why you see this spike in the landfill fund expenditures. Moving on to page 8, I've got a slide that covers the SPLOST and T-SPLOST schedules. So the county is required by state law to present a schedule of projects finance with special purpose local option sales tax and transportation special purpose local option sales tax. And those are on pages 107 through 110 of this bound report. And I just wanted to point out the totals on the slide here. You will note that that schedule is by project. So the referendum, whatever projects is listed in the referendum, or if the county then chose to detail those more, that is how detailed the SPLOST schedule is. It includes current year as well as project to date totals. Nothing spent in 2013. There is some 2013 SPLOST still out there. The 2020 SPLOST spent $5.6 million on Walker County projects, and $3.5 million was paid out or accrued to the cities within the county, because the county does share SPLOST with the cities in the county. And as I mentioned earlier, T-SPLOST spent $14 million in the current year. The collection period, just wanted to mention on that 2020 SPLOST, that's a 6-year collection period, starting with that 2020, and then that 23 T-SPLOST, that is a 5-year T-SPLOST, and the collections on that started in 2024. The county does have, obviously, many other funds that we're not covering tonight, primarily for the sake of time. This report is over 100 pages long. So we're covering the more significant funds, but I did just want to mention to you that on pages 18 and 19, the county's major funds that we didn't talk about specifically are the Fire and Rescue Fund. We did touch on ARPA some, didn't have a slide on it. The Development Authority, and we did talk about the SPLOST and T-SPLOST Fund. And then the county has multiple other what we call non-major funds, meaning they are presented combined on the financial statements that we just looked at on pages 18 and 19. But there is a combining statement, and I wanted to point that out to you. The combining statements include funds such as the Law Library, court supervision, E911, special court, date, multiple grant, hotel motel, transportation, forfeiture, inmate welfare, sheriff special projects, and opioid settlements. And the statements for those start on page 80, and there is also a description in that section of what each fund is for. So on that first slide, when I'm talking about the county as a whole, that includes not only the funds I mentioned, which was the larger ones, but all of those as well. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, we prepare and perform your audit in accordance with government auditing standards. So what that means is that we do issue an additional report. That report is on pages 96 and 97. And we are required to consider your internal controls and your compliance. We don't provide an opinion on that, but we do bring to your attention anything that comes to our attention. I will say that there were no material weaknesses noted by our audit team. There were 2 significant deficiencies noted in internal control, and those are of a nature that you've seen in the past. One is a lack of optimal segregation of duties. That means that in certain departments, certain elected official offices, there may not be an ideal number of people to separate certain preferred functions. For example, you typically need about 4 people to separate accounting functions, custody of assets, reconciliation, accounting, authorization. And what that means is that some departments don't have enough personnel to separate all 4 of those in an optimal manner. That does present some risk, so we, do want to make you aware of that. And that's very common in governments, very common in large governments. Your finance department is well segregated, but you're going to have some departments maybe that collect funds that maybe only has 1 or 2 people doing everything. So it is a risk that you need to be aware of, but it's I always like to say it's kind of a cost-benefit analysis. There are some departments that you just don't want to pay 4 salaries, or you decide I don't want to pay for 4 people because what are they going to do when they're not segregating these 4 functions? And the other was there was an elected official offices where deposits were not made timely. I will say that's an office that is very busy. It's one of the busiest offices in every county I work with. And those deposits, basically, we just recommend those be deposited at least once a week, and I do believe that they are in the process of correcting that. Over on page 10, I say page 10 because this is numbered, but it is slide 10. The county does have what we call a single audit. And what that means is because the county received more than $1 million in federal awards, we perform an audit in accordance with the uniform guidance. So I wanted to just point out where that is in the financial report. On page 102, there is what we call a schedule of expenditures of federal awards. And you'll see there that the county expended in that period 10/1/24 to 9/30/25 $8.5 million in federal awards. Most of that being grant money, most of that falling under the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funding. And we are required to perform a single audit on that. And we are required to look at the compliance on that. We did not find any problems with compliance relative to the major programs that we tested. And we also look at the internal controls over major programs, and we did not have any findings to report on that either. Moving on to page 11. I always like to talk to the board about what has changed this year. GASB stays very busy, and they have not slowed down in quite some time. So the big change this year was GASB 101, and that changes the way governments account for and report compensated absences. It actually did not have a large impact on Walker County due to how things were recorded in the past, but the county did implement this, and it basically, the largest change and what affects most governments is that previously sick liability did not have to be accrued, and now it has to be accrued. But you have now shifted to PTO, so you don't have sick time anymore. But that is how it is impacting most governments. You do have a compensated absences liability, but it did not change significantly over the prior year. On the next page, we've got GASB 102. The county did implement this for the year ended 9/30/2025. And that's about certain risk disclosures. The county did not have any concentrations or constraints that required disclosure under this standard, but the county has implemented this new standard. Then we've got a couple of GASBs coming up that I wanted to touch on. We'll be working with Christian to ensure a smooth implementation of these. And one is GASB 103. It's going to be on slide 13. That's going to change the management's discussion and analysis, probably not significantly for you, but that does bring to my attention that I like to point out the management discussion and analysis. That starts on page 4. And if you were going to read anything in this report, that's what I would recommend you read. And the reason is it explains the financial statements. It explains the overview and the relationship between the fund level financial statements and the government-wide financial statements. And it is also the only place within this 100-page report that has comparative activity. So you can look at this and see a 2-year trend of information. And also it includes a narrative telling why something's up or why something's down. It is a summarized format, so you could still have questions after that, but it is a very helpful discussion and analysis, and I would encourage you to read that. It's GASB 103 is also going to change some of the reporting in the proprietary funds. We will, of course, implement this on Walker County, but I don't foresee it being a big impact on your financials. You've got your landfill and your Mountain Cove Fund, and it should be a pretty straightforward implementation based on the activity in those funds. Let's see, then we've got GASB 104. We'll touch on that briefly on slide 14. GASB 104 is going to change the disclosures for capital assets. Let me just point out to you how much disclosure we have on capital assets. I mentioned your equipment, your infrastructure, but if you look at note 9 on page 55, if you want to just jot that down, that's where you'll see what does the county have in land, in infrastructure, in buildings, in vehicles. And this is going to change how we report some right-to-use assets, subscriptions, leases. But another thing it's going to do is if you have assets that you have identified that you're going to sell, it will require us to disclose those separately. Now, what we plan to do is, obviously, if you have a property listed for sale, we would, inquire of management about that and include that. But we'll also probably look at what has happened since year end. So year end's on 9/30. We're usually in here December or January. We would get with Chairwoman Teams and Christian, and we would ask, has there been any auctions? And that would help us to identify those properties for disclosure. Next is our contact information. So I have given you a lot of condensed financial information. And if you have any questions, I'm glad to take those at this time. If you have any questions after this evening, please reach out to me by phone, by email. This is a lot of information, and you may have questions that you're not even aware of you have right now. But we are always available to help answer your questions, help you with your understanding of the financial information presented here. It is a lot of volume. And like I said, I named out all the funds, so definitely a lot of information within this report. And Gatsby certainly keeps people like Christian and myself busy in changing how we're going to account for those things. But I'm glad to take any questions at this time if you have any, or if you'd like to discuss anything further.
I found it interesting, Julie, that you mentioned several other offices and departments and expenses that most people probably don't even understand are included in our 37 million budget. It's not just the 19 departments within the internal county government. It's all the judges. It's the Department of Health. There's expenses in all kinds of areas throughout the county, and I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, I think a lot of focus is often on the general fund because it's the main operating fund, and that's where the departments you're talking about are mostly recognized. Outside of landfill and Mountain Cove, of course, are separate, but definitely there's much more activity, you know, other than just your typical operating funds, for sure.
Yep. Does the board have any other questions for Ms. Julie?
Just one other question. It's probably more for Christian or Hugh, but you mentioned that the PTO payout that we did. So that was for a bunch of accrued comp time that had been built for several years. That has been paid, and we're not accruing comp time anymore. Is that correct?
We did. Go ahead. Sorry.
That was a separate thing we had a PTO, and it was, before that, it was vacation and personal time. And we combined those together and set a cap because that liability was on our books.
Okay.
So when we paid, over the cap, that reduced our liability.
Yes. But there was one instance where we had a lot of comp time bill where people, instead of getting paid overtime, they just built time to take off. We
Yes,
paid
that's
that off, right?
That's the sheriff's department. That was
Yeah.
pretty much the same scenario.
So it's been paid off. Are we still accruing comp time there, or is that? No.
No,
Okay, that's what I thought. Let's make
we
sure.
pay overtime now.
So we shouldn't see that problem in the future.
Correct.
Okay.
That was one big payout, right?
Yes.
To how many? Was that the entire county government employees?
So
Just
Just
the sheriff for the comp time, and then the employees that have been here a very long time and have accrued a lot of PTO. When Greg left, he had a huge balance, and we really don't want to have a large compensated absence on our liabilities. So we wanted to kind of control that.
does that show as debt then if we owe that out to people? Does that show as?
It
Yes.
does show as a long-term liability. I can point out to you where that is. So if you look on page 15, you look under liabilities, you'll see a compensated absences liability. So there is still a liability there. And that's 1.4 million under the governmental activity column and 43,000 under the business type activities column. That's on page 15.
And then the where we reinstated the benefits, the retirement and all that, that's been paid out? That check's been written or?
Yeah, so that created a $5 million liability on our financials, but the check that was written for $1 million was not paid out until October, so it did not show up on this this audit report. It'll show up next year, the $1 million expense.
But it showed a $5 million.
Yes, because we opened it. I did not pay that until a few months later.
till the audit is closed. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so the actuary, when they do the valuation on that pension plan, they establish that liability based on the fact that that plan opened back up. So if you look at page 15, you'll see a net pension liability at the bottom of page 15 there under non-current liabilities. And the total of that for the governmental type and business type activities is 4.9 million. That is the liability as of 9/30. Now, GASB does require multiple retirement and pension schedules. So just to reference those for you, if you look over on page 74, or if you don't want to look right now, you can jot that down. On page 74, you've got a schedule of the changes in the net pension liability. And if you look at that 2025 column, it's the third number from the top, changes in benefit terms. And you'll see that 4.9 million there increases that liability. And then if you look over on page 76, this is the county's schedule of pension contributions. And you'll see that the county for FY25 contributed 910,000, which is the typical amount the county had been contributing. So that additional amount that Christian mentioned, or the increased amount that will be recommended each year from that change, not reflected in the actual cash paid out during the year, but it is reflected in the liability.
So we didn't pay it till October. Was that date set when they said, okay, this is how much we owe to each person?
I don't recall on that. I'll answer for that.
But it has been, everything's paid up minus what we're paying
Yes,
monthly.
yeah, it's
Right?
been paid.
Don't we have a monthly payment coming
Yes, we
out
pay
for that?
70,000, I believe, monthly or per payroll, one of the two. And then we've made that $1 million payment. I will get back with you on when that was paid and what initiated that.
Okay.
Anything else for Miss Julie? Julie, thank you. I'm sure it was very hard to condense all that data down and make it at least understandable for me. So thank you for that. We
Absolutely.
will certainly take you up on having further conversations if we need to.
Absolutely, please don't hesitate to reach out. And even if it's not next week or tomorrow, anytime something comes up with questions on the financials, we're available year round.
I think Christian has you on speed dial. So yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we will move into the next section, which is public hearing, planning, and zoning. This is the portion of the meeting where the 4 district board members consider citizens' requests who want to rezone their property. The citizens first had to present their request to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The commission makes their suggestion to the 4 district commissioners, and they make the final decision. And that will happen tonight as well. So I want to ask if Mr. Charles Skiles is here or a representative. Yes, please come forward, sir. Are you Mr. Skiles? You are asking for a rezone for your property from A1 agriculture to RA residential agriculture for property located at 938 Andrews Lane, Chickamauga, Georgia, 30707.
Yes, ma'am.
That tax map and parcel number is 0-252-006E. And I can give you up to 12 minutes to talk to the board if you want to use it. You don't have to use all that time, but if you want to tell them what your plans are, that would be great.
I don't know the exact numbers, it's a little over 5 acres. I live at the bottom on Andrews Lane in a double wide. And actually on up the hill, it flattens out and it's actually in the woods and it's actually a lot better than where I'm at. And I just think this is the first step to be able to put something up there and, live there if I want to.
So you want to live there yourself,
I may.
but you don't have any plans to build there right now?
I don't have anything that started there, no.
Okay.
Like I said, I live at the bottom of the hill in a double wide.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Skiles?
So it would be a second residence on the 5 acres then,
Yes, sir.
for rental or for?
No rental. No rental.
Okay.
If you build, you doing away with your double wide then?
Sir?
Are you doing away with the residence you
No,
live in
it-
now
it's
if
gonna-
you,
no,
if
it'll-
you
It'll
build?
stay there. I'm not even sure what I'm gonna do with it right yet. I don't know what the requirements are for a tiny house. I don't, you know. I figure this is the first step to doing anything. But it won't be a rental.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Skiles? The board will make its decision here shortly, if you want to hang around.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So we do move into that portion of the meeting now where the decisions are made by the 4 district commissioners to consider that item and the other item that we have. We'll talk about that now. Yes, thank you. Before I do move into the decisions, I would like to ask if there is anyone in the audience that is going to speak against Mr. Skiles. Is there anyone here in opposition? Okay, thank you. We can move on then to the decisions of the planning and zoning request. The 4 district commissioners will now make their final decisions on the items in consideration. The first item is, let's see, the first request to be determined is from Mrs. Joan Brown. The request, and this is just this is a decision, not the public hearing, so we don't take comments in this portion. The request is rezone from A1 agriculture to CN neighborhood commercial for property located at 6280 Highway 151, Lafayette, Georgia 30728. Tax map and parcel number 0-516-005. The original plan was heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission on January 15th of this year. They recommended this be denied. The commissioners, 4 district commissioners, considered this request on February the 5th. The request was tabled up to 60 days by Commissioner Wilson and seconded by Commissioner Hart. They wanted additional time for research. The matter is now again in front of the board. So what is the board's pleasure?
I will make a motion to table it for 30 more days, and I'll go through that in my discussion with what John and I have been dealing with on this.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll take Mr. Wilson.
Commissioner Askew.
Would you rather your name be the second motion then?
I said
Yeah.
second. I didn't hear Gene.
I
We
kind
said
of
the same time.
chimed in at the
I
same
didn't hear
time.
it.
We
Yeah,
will
Mr.
use,
Askew.
we
It
will,
doesn't matter to me.
we'll use Mr. Askew
There
then.
you go.
All right, further discussion.
Okay, so when we tabled that for 60 days, John and I had a conference with the owner, potential new owner, and his lawyers and engineers to put together an alternate plan because the board didn't feel that the big truck stop was what we needed to put in Naomi. They put together something. We went over it a couple different times. I did not get their finalized plan until the 27th of March, and they still had some work to do on it. My intention was to have a community meeting at Naomi with the school, with the church, with all the concerned citizens to go over what they're proposing to do there. In my discussions with them, they have asked for a little more time to work on their plan, get their engineering work done. They're still talking to the DOT about access off 151 and come back to me by the 15th of April. At that time, I will get with the other board of commissioners and look at the plan and make sure they're all good with it. And then we'll set that meeting up for the 27th of April at the Naomi Baptist Church. We're just trying to make sure that what they want to do there kind of fits what we're looking at. John and I met with them. We've talked about septic systems. We've talked about water runoff. We've talked about the footprint of the actual building. So that's why we're putting that off a couple more weeks so we can talk about that. And they have assured me that have me something by close of business on April 15th.
Anyone else? I'll add, because the original plan has been significantly changed and there's a lot going on there, that I would ask the Board of Commissioners to consider sending it back to the Planning and Zoning to start the public process again. Just a suggestion. Open for discussion. Or we can continue with Mr. Hart's suggestion.
That is a good point. It is a much different, it's not much different, but it's much smaller. It's actually in 2 phases. So yes, and have them look at it and then send it back to us for reconsideration. One question for you, Mr. Chairman. So, or Chairwoman, I'm sorry. Typically, if we denied what they actually sent, it's a year wait before they can reapply. They're pretty close now to getting it put together. Would we consider waiving that year?
I don't think you can waive that year. I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't see where it has to go back. If you're gonna have community meetings, I mean, people are gonna get to put their input in.
So we can keep your motion as is?
Yeah, and I'm gonna want to have the community meeting because it is a piece of property, 15 point something acres, this zone agriculture. And in our comp plan, which I lean on a lot, does allow for commercial use in that area. The size of the commercial use that's allowed can kind of be determined by the Board of Commissioners in the planning and zoning. So that's what John and I have been working with them with. In our land use maps and in the comp plan, it specifically states that we can put commercial property there. So, I mean, I think Robert's right. I think John, I've had some good conversation with him. I think Mr. Patel is here. And I think by April 15th, we should have something that we could work with.
All right, so to recap, the motion on the table is to table, the motion on the floor is to table this matter for 30 days. And it was made by Commissioner Hart, and it was seconded by Commissioner Askew. So to cast the final vote regarding the Brown rezone request, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Any voting against, say nay. Motion passes with all yeses to table this motion for 30 days.
It'll actually be a little more to maybe May the 7th. I don't know if we need to add that or not, Alex.
I would get specific to May the 7th,
Right.
Specific to May 7th,
next meeting.
Mrs. Clerk. The second and final rezoning request is from Charles Skiles, requesting a rezone that we just talked about in the public hearing. The Planning Commission recommended in their March 19th meeting that the rezone be approved as submitted. What is the pleasure of the board for this item?
I make a motion to follow the planning commission's recommendation.
Mr. Blakemore made the motion to follow the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Mr. Askew seconded. Is there any discussion for this matter?
Yes, ma'am. It's very similar to what we considered last month. It is a piece of property, 5 acres in a rural area that's zoned A1. And the comprehensive use plan shows agriculture, forestry, limits new development. It's not really a hardship case, so for that matter, I'll be voting no against it.
Any further discussion?
No, ma'am.
Then to cast the final vote regarding the Skiles rezone request, the district commissioners must make a vote, and the motions were from Mr. Blakemore to approve it, and Mr. Askew seconded it. So all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Any voting against the motion say nay.
Nay.
2 nays, 2 yeses and 2 nays. So we come to a tie, which will leave me to vote. So my vote is yes, motion passes. And I am going to recess us for 5 minutes, please. We will take a break right now.
Stretch.
There's one bathroom in
No, but I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be. All right. Okay, let's reconvene. We are back in session. I think we all needed that little break, so thank you for tolerating that for me. All right, we will move into public comment. This is an open section for anyone to address the board for any matter. Each person has 5 minutes. If there are several people that are going to speak on the same subject, please elect one person to represent your group, unless you have something significantly different to say than the other parties in your group. So who would like to come first? Mr. Pope, come on up.
I'm Jim Pope, and I want to talk a little bit about the Concord Road today.
Yes, sir.
But first, I want to remind the commissioners that the concerned citizens of our local community has already submitted a petition urging you to keep the road open. And on that petition was 111 local signatures on it urging you to do this. So I guess you remember it. Anybody forget it? Okay. Now, I want to discuss a letter that my friend Michael Wise wrote. I've been knowing him a long time, for maybe 5 minutes now. And talk about some of the things he put in his letter. I disagree with some of them. Like he's saying safety is a big concern there on that road. Well, I grew up in the community, and I feel like, hey, if you want to keep safety down, safety open, you need to keep that road open, because we need the road. It's going to force people on farm equipment to go up on Highway 136 to travel. And that is dangerous, especially the crossroads at Villa now. They are coming down that hill fast. If you're out there in the road, it's going to create a bigger safety problem, I feel like. Now, I do agree with Michael on this. He says a lack of effective maintenance on that road. Now, we have already brought it out to you that we need some chirp put in those potholes. But I want to remind you of this. About 2 years ago, T-Splosh came on the scene, and the message went out loud and clear to everybody. If you'll pass T-Splosh, you'll get better county roads. And we haven't had any potholes filled up during that time. So I feel like the citizens have done their part by voting to pay extra tax to get that road smoothed out. And if you'll do that, then that would eliminate lack of effective maintenance. Now, he says it's a narrow road. It is, but two can still pass when they're meeting. If they'll go slow, may have to pull over in a wide spot or so, but it's still effective. And what he didn't say is what I found out from Carlin Bowers about the road right-of-way. He said he interprets it that we have 60 feet road right-of-way on the Concord Road, which for the future generation, they got a lot to expand on. Even the East Murchie Road is less than that in some spots, which is a much bigger road. Now, he also mentioned, illegal dumping. I'm not saying there hasn't been illegal dumping because I haven't seen everything. But during my 83 years in, hanging around the community, I have never seen a problem. Now, if you got a problem, those little timber road, tractor roads type thing, sometimes that is a problem they'll pull up. I had the problem on some of my property, put a chain across the road and it stopped it. But, also he mentioned trespassing. May have, but I've never seen a trespassing sign on any property over there. Golly, huh? I'm out of time.
You were
But
on a
anyway,
roll.
access to that property for fires and everything is a big thing. I've seen that, a fire get out. If we didn't have it open for the forestry to come in, it could have turned into one of these fires like they have out in California. I wish I could tell you more, but that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. Anyone next? Just come on up.
Slightly different. My
Tell
name
us
is
your
John-
name, please.
My name is John Longwith,
Thank you.
and I grew up in that community. My family has been in Walker County, in Villanelle and Chickamauga for nearly 200 years, closing in on 200 years. The road is a landmark. The road is historic to the community. It has great value as a landmark to the community. It is a peaceful and beautiful place. Walker County is working very hard to build tourism and make roads available to people using bicycles. SPLOST has funded reconstructions for South Dix Creek Road, Tate Road, which comes into the intersection where the unimproved section of Concord goes in. So if, as a unimproved asset, it's not got a whole lot of value now, but by improving it, it would connect over to Eastern Murchie Road, very close to Shahan Road. Shahan Road could take people on to the Pocket Road, take bicyclists off of the main highway, make a beautiful place for tourism and to improve the county image as well. Also, it should be taken into consideration that if something happens to Eastern Murchie Bridge, then it would be a shorter access than people driving all the way down South Dix Creek Road out to the end of that, down to their homes on Eastern Murchie Road. So it is an alternative bypass in the event something were to happen to that bridge. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, who else would like to address? Come on up. Thank you. Tell us your name, please.
Sure. My name is Juanita Monham, and I am here along with my husband and my sister to offer our opinions on why Concord Road should be closed. My sister and I have lived the majority of our lives on the southeast end of Concord where it meets East Armurchie Road. We own the farming property on both sides of that portion, and we have driveways that spur off of it. There's 3 houses there. Our family lives in those 3 houses. There's 2 main reasons that we would prefer that the road be closed. The main reason is just safety. I know Jim doesn't agree with that, but having lived on the road, I spend every day on that road, I can tell you it is an issue. For anyone who doesn't know, on our end, Concord is an unpaved gravel and dirt road. In most places, it only has 1 lane, no shoulder, banks on each side. And there's multiple blind curves and hills on the road. I can't tell you how many times, but it's been multiple times that we've needed to jump off the side of the road, so most of the time in an area where there is no shoulder, because that happens to be where our driveways are. And it's to avoid being run over by a truck. It's often motorcycles, sometimes 4-wheelers that take that road, and they come around those curves and over the hills just way too fast. Some folks may say that people know how to drive on a dirt road, but that's just not true of everybody. Yes, there are folks in the community who are respectful, but there are also people traveling it who are not, and they're just there to kind of play around and have a good time. We find that traffic is unpredictable in terms of how many vehicles there will be in a day and in terms of how the people will drive. We very much do appreciate the folks who take into consideration the landscape of the road, but it's just not everybody. It is what it is. There are good drivers on the road and there are bad drivers on the road, and it's no different on Concord Road. The thing that's different is that it's a one-lane road. While along with these safety concerns, well, I'm sorry, let me go back. I'm not a very good impromptu speaker. These kind of situations just essentially can create a dangerous situation is what I want to point out. Along with safety concerns, maintenance is the second main reason that we would prefer that the road be closed. While the road is currently open to anyone, the fact is that the county contributes very little in terms of maintenance of the road. Many think that our end of the road is very well kept by the county, but it's actually our personal dollars and times that have kept the ditches graded and the potholes filled and the surface gravelled for decades. And when I say decades, I don't just mean 1 or 2 decades. I mean probably close to 5 decades. I'm sure the road department could confirm that very few tax dollars have been spent on Concord for quite some time. And to be honest, there's a part of me that can understand that. If I were a taxpayer living in the northern part of the county, I would question that my dollars were being spent on a road where only 3 houses were. In closing, I'd just like to say that we would not ever want to intentionally upset our community neighbors, and we're genuinely sorry that that has been the case. Yes, the road has been around for a long time, and I'm certain that my own ancestors, traveled that road by horse and buggy. But none of that changes the condition of the road in 2026, or the way motorized vehicles drive in 2026. If you do choose to keep the road open, we just ask that you consider 2 things. 1, what kind of money is the county willing to put toward consistent maintenance of the road so that individual property owners are not covering 99% of the cost to keep it up? And number 2, I'm very glad that it was just brought up. We would very much appreciate your addressing the issue that's sure to come up when the East Armuchee Bridge is replaced or repaired. Many people have already voiced their plan to use Concord as a detour road, despite the fact that Dix Creek Road, which is also a connector road from East Armuchee to 136, has been designated as the detour route. Even if you do make repairs to Concord, I cannot see how anybody thinks that one-lane road can accommodate even a small percentage of the traffic that East Armuchee currently does. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come to the podium?
Good evening. I'm Mary Wise, and I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak. My husband Michael and I own a portion of the land that runs along both sides of the section of Concord Road that is in question tonight. I've already been asked, are you from around here? And to answer that, compared to our neighbors, we are fairly new to Walker County, but we are not new to land ownership and land stewardship. My family owns a Centennial Farm in Alabama, which means it has been in continuous ownership and operation in my family for over 100 years, probably closer to 200. So while I'm not from here, I did get here as fast as I could, as they say. Tonight, I'm here to make an appeal to you for the closure of this section of Concord Road that is in question. Safety is the primary concern for me. We don't have a house on Concord Road. Our house is around the corner. So people tend to see our portion of the land as public space, and they feel quite at ease venturing off the road and onto our property. We have had folks four-wheeling, couples parking, guys drinking beer, but also on occasion the smell of marijuana wafting out of windows. And of the traffic that we do see, a lot of it is non-local traffic. and I would in fact venture to say that the majority of the traffic through there is not local traffic. Because of the ease of access and secluded nature of the area, dumping is in fact a problem. We have had multiple mattresses that we have ourselves had to pick up and move and discard, as well as tires, which you know is a special process for getting rid of that's fallen on us. But of all the concerns, the gravest of which is night hunting. We have this photo of a man on our property with night vision goggles on, camo, and a gun, stalking our land and our property as though it's his own. And I would just ask every landowner here to take a second, a deep breath, and think about encountering this man in your backyard.
Can we see that?
Yes, you may. It was on a Friday night in February. If you know him, I'd love to have his name. Nobody recognizes him. He's probably on Facebook. While opinions are strong and emotions are high, my plea is that you will weigh not only the rich history that's been referenced and the deep tie that people feel to Concord Road, but also the present reality for the families who live and farm there today. Stewardship is not an abstract. It is a responsibility. The consequences of the unkept public access, as well as the responsibility for the care and maintenance of Concord Road, rest squarely with just 3 families who border the Concord Road area in question. So please, I ask that you do what is most just for the stewards of the land, while also serving as a steward for the county, for the people of the county in regard to fiscal responsibility.
Thank you very much. All right, next.
I don't see up that late.
That's somebody cone hunt. That's not like not diabetes. That's cone hunt.
Sir, give us your name, please.
I'm Michael Wise. I am Mary's husband, and
Okay.
We own property that borders Concord Road. I'm just going to add a few things. When this process began 40 days ago, I started doing a traffic count on Concord Road. Turns out over the last 40 days, there averages 3 cars or trucks a day. And that actually is very inflated because during that 40 days, built a barn on the property. So a lot of that traffic were people coming to work on my barn. So it is very ill-used. And the people that drive on it often assume that there's no way that there's anybody else that's going to be on it. So they come around the corners as if, there's no chance of anybody else on it. And I do understand the idea of everybody, as a taxpayer, everybody likes the idea of having access, and access being removed is threatening. But the numbers prove that there are better ways to get to where you're going than using Concord Road. That's all I need to add.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Go ahead. Oh, you go ahead, sir.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Stephen Grigsby. I live on East Star Murchie Road, very near the S-curves. I'm from South Dick Creek Roads, where I was raised up at. I've got family that still own land over there and live over there on South Dick Creek. I travel Concord Road occasionally to go over there. I don't know how long Concord Road, I don't know when it was built, but I'm sure that whoever built it had a good reason. I don't know if they were cutting timber or farming, going to church, could have been visiting elderly or relatives over on that end in South Dick Creek or in Concord. I'm sure they had a good reason for building that road. The future generation, I feel like, things change. Property owners change. At some point, I am certain that there'll be houses built on Concord Road. And they're going to need access. They're going to need access to fire, police, emergency vehicles, mail. That road is needed. Like I said, I'm sure property is going to be sold, and I want to use my house for an example. The house that my wife and I bought on East Star Merchant was once formerly belonged to Miss Batty Lee Pope. Miss Pope sold fabric. She had a little building with fabric in it. My mother bought fabric from her and made clothes for us and for people she went to church with and for herself. We traveled Concord Road back then. So not only these people that built this road, probably in my great grandparents, maybe further back than that in their age group, they used that road. My mother used that road. I'm pushing 60. I use that road. In fact, I've used it 3 times this week going to help my sister pull her well pump out on South Dick Creek. I've recently used it to go check on a friend of mine in Concord who had an open heart surgery. I know it was another friend of mine recently that called me and asked me for help digging a water line right there in Concord. She had to tie on to the county water line. We've got the future generation that's going to need that road. I'm asking that you take this into consideration. I have deep respect, great respect for the families that live on that road. I always have. But it appears to me that whoever proposed the closure of Concord Road has absolutely no respect for the citizens of the community that travel and live there for a long time, have no respect, no regard for the future generation that's going to need that road. And what I'm asking is that you make a very wise decision whenever you decide whether or not what you're going to do. Think about it very clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grisby. Next, please. Actually, I'm sorry, yeah. It's really mainly because this topic is, it's a lot of the same. So I apologize, but that's not our rule. So, who wants to come to the podium next and speak on?
My name is Ralph Harris. I live in Villanelle. I just want to talk about the maintenance part. The road has a 60-foot easement for what Jim Pope said a while ago. A lot of that road is one lane. But at some point in time in the past, the county thought that road was important enough to pave it or tar and gravel it. So, because they're part, Brian knows it's part of between
Yeah, it was tar and gravel years ago.
So, and you got room to widen it. We're not asking for it to be paved. And I don't blame the folks there. You know, part of it is one lane and it can be dangerous. But most people that travel it know how to drive on a dirt road. You ain't gonna run 50 miles an hour down that road, are you, Brian?
No, you can't. Yeah.
Well, you can, but yeah, you're gonna be bouncing around. And the picture the lady showed, that's somebody coon hunting. That's a night light. I coon hunt. Brian knows a coon hunt. That's not night vision. That's got a light on top of it. So, and that area over there is great for coon hunting. And Peel Shahan gave me permission to hunt on it. I don't know more, of course, but that's good hunting over there. And one other question for Mr. Wiseman, is that going to be a hunting club? And if it is, are they going to be shooting towards East Armurchie?
Well, y'all can have the personal conversation outside. Thank you. Anyone else want to address the board? Please come up.
Yeah, I'm here to speak about the conveyance or sale. Let me state my name. My name's Jay Tankersley. Sorry. I'm here to speak about the conveyance or sale of the Rossville Gym. And I know some of you have heard me speak about it before, and I've sent some emails to the previous administration. You know, my concerns, just lack of use, you know, the building not being open to the public and the kids not being able to use it and the demographics. And I think it's an important place. So it's not going to do any good if I rehash that again. It's not. So I thought I'd give you all a little history lesson on the gym, on the facility. And there's been a lot of confusion. I've never heard a straight answer on how the county actually got that facility. So I'm going to let you guys know how that happened. And it'll be pretty interesting, and hope it helps in your decision-making process. So I just want to read a memorial plaque that's on the side of the building that was dedicated by the Hutchinson family in 1949. It says, "We dedicate this athletic center to the memory of the boys from Rossville area who gave their lives in the First and Second World Wars. It is the hope that these facilities will serve to build in the lives of living youth Christian fellowship, character, sportsmanship that will always serve as a perpetual memorial to those gallant members of our armed forces who gave their all, that this and the future generations might continue to receive the benefit of our democratic way." All right. So you say, what in the world's that got to do with it? So we're going to fast forward. I'm really going to throw you a curveball here. 1993. Roy Parrish. 1993, the Splosh renewal was coming up. May of 1993. May of 1993, Roy Parrish, in a school board meeting, promised the school board that they would receive 25% of the Splosh funds, $4.5 million, to be allocated to recreation. He says, in a special session held Tuesday, April 27th, Walker County Commissioner Roy Parrish Jr. addressed the board regarding the proposed 1% sales tax. I'm sorry, this is very small. All I'm here for is to make sure we are all on the same accord, said Mr. Parrish. We passed the resolution for the referendum this morning, and we have the Georgia Department of Revenue, but we need your help in passing the Splosh. For your portion of 18 million, I'd like for you to think about all the organizations you come in contact with and talk to them. So what he's asking in a school board meeting is, I need your help. If you guys help me pass this, I'm going to give you guys this money. So, oh man, fast forward, here's the deal. With the Splosh, Walker County government will purchase the property from Walker County Board of Education. After each project is complete, the county will lease the buildings and the property back to the Board of Education. Then after a specified amount of time has elapsed, the county will deed the property and the building back to the Board of Education. There's 3 projects. The Lafayette High School athletics facility was being built then. That was the first project on the list. The second project was Rossville Middle School. The third project was Chattanooga Valley Elementary School. Those funds were allocated to. $2.5 million was allocated to Lafayette High School when they built their athletic facility. $1.2 million was allocated to the Rossville gym, and $800,000 was allocated to the Chattanooga Valley Middle School. So those, I'm going to have to speed up. Those documents were quitclaim deeded over. So you fast forward to, here's the intergovernmental agreement. It's a 50-year lease on those buildings. Fast forward into Buddy Chapman's period. Mr. Parrish did the first deal with the Lafayette High School. After 24 years of service, he retired. Mr. Chapman took over. He replicated that deal. Same intergovernmental agreement with a 50-year lease. So fast forward into goodness gracious. Fast forward into 2008, all those properties were quitclaim deeded back to the school board with the exception of the gym. The B.B. Haskell made an agreement with the mayor of Rossville is the reason why that property was not deeded back. I've got that. I'll leave that to you. That's for recreational purposes. That property belongs to the school board. If you guys do decide to go ahead and vote on that tonight, and I'll leave you with all these documents, you probably need to speak to someone about OCGA 3693. There probably needs to be a public hearing at that facility before it's conveyed over. And then there needs to be another meeting here for you guys to discuss it. So that being said, I'll be happy to give you guys, when those buildings were deeded back, there was actually 6 different locations. Adding Ridgeland High School's lots were added to that splosh, and Rock Spring Elementary playground. So I'm sorry, I've run out of time, and I wish I could. If you guys have any more questions, I'll be happy to share it with you, but I'm out of time.
Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask, since this is an item tonight?
Oh, have we reviewed all that? I mean,
Our outside counsel pulled all the deeds and confirmed that the county does own those two parcels.
What I will say about that is when that did get all deeded back, all those properties were deeded back. And when it was deeded, when it was quitclaim deed, if you look at that deed, there's 3 tracks. When they deeded all those properties back, they deeded back one, which is 0.77 acres that was cut out of the school building. That property got deeded back. And BB and Mr. Mayor of Rossville said, and it was for a good cause. They said, we want to keep these properties. We want to hire a recreation director. They put a lot of money into it, and it did not go well. And then as time passed on, so to answer your question and to let you know, I mean, I think there's 3 options, and I have looked at the quitclaim deed, and it's not in my favor. You guys can sell the property, but based off the intergovernmental agreement, there's a 50-year lease. The Rossville Middle School has a 50-year lease on that property. So if you did sell it, the new owner would have to honor that 50-year lease.
Well,
Or you guys could honor it till 2049. So it might be something y'all want to look into.
we do appreciate the information.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to?
Hey, good evening. My name's Cindy Breeden. I'm from Rossville. Just with all this information that's been brought up, has there been a title search and all of that, and it's all came back clear, or?
You may answer, yeah.
Our outside counsel, Gerard and Davis, has done the review in regards to our ability to sell this property, yes, ma'am.
I mean, with the question that has been brought up, I feel like it would be to the best interest of the community and the city to rethink the, sending it over to the authority to be sold currently. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's interesting.
I'm Ned Yates. I'm not a resident of Rossville. My family's been in this area since 1837, so we've been here a few years. Rossville, Peerless Mills, I remember when it burned. I remember the impact on the city. And the problem that I always see is y'all forget as elected officials, your word is supposed to be bond. And when you've given your word, previous administrations have given their word. We had an issue with Macklemore about the issue with the hotel tax. You gave your word. The word's been given by somebody. I know what a quitclaim deed means. I've got a background in real estate. I know a little bit about accounting. Accounting, I had to have it to graduate from school. I flunked it. I had to go back and take it in so I could get a degree. Made an A that time, so I now got a C. I got basic accounting skills. The government's no different than a for-profit business. The accounting principles are the same, business teams. You said it's a different story. Nobody understands the county. Well, here's the deal with the county. Quitclaim deed is worthless. You want one for your house? I give you one right now. So that's all it's for. It's for basically for the heirs, so you can clean a piece of property's title up. I don't know what it is, but I know this. Roy Parrish was a good commissioner. He gave his word. I hold y'all to that and will continue to hold that is show honor. You have no choice but to honor somebody else's word because you assumed that position. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Good evening. My name's Randy Pittman, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Walker County Historic Preservation Commission. Just to give the community update on our historic resource survey grants. Phase 1, we started that. I looked at emails. We first got started on it in 2021 when Whitney was the part-time clerk. That's how long it's took us to get to Phase 1 being signed off. So when I seen that email the other day, I was kind of ecstatic about it, you know, because there's a lot of back and forth. Phase 2, the contract to start work, it's been signed, and the company will be down there in the Villanelle area at the end of April, 1st of March. So there should be some letters going out to the people down there so they can be aware of these people, and maybe we won't run into some of the same problems we did on the first leg of this grant where they couldn't get the information they needed from the community. Phase 3, we have submitted our grant application, and we should know sometime this summer. July, late July, August. It depends. The government's been shut down, so it may be next year this time before we see it. The Historic Preservation Commission, all members attended training in Dalton Saturday with the Department of Community Affairs. And that is part of our recertification process that all members have this training. One project that we're starting to undertake now is the Oak Grove School over on Oak Grove Road in the Palm Springs area. The underbrush and everything up the hill has been cleaned off. We still got some bigger sized trees that we're responsible for to cut down, but we had that cleaned off with money that we had raised without any taxpayers' money being funded to do that. So we're proud of that. We earned some money with the 160th reenactment of the Battle of Chickamauga. And we're currently looking for some property to hold the next reenactment. So if you got 300 acres just laying around somewhere, holler at us. We need you. And you have a, let me flip here. You have a resolution coming up concerning the Battlefield Connector Trail to be named in the honor of John Culpepper. I'd like to read something to you, Mr. Culpepper. Mr. Culpepper, congratulations on the well-deserved honor of having the Battlefield Connector in Chickamauga named in your recognition. This distinction is a meaningful tribute to your enduring commitment to preserving the rich history and heritage of our community. Your leadership as chairman of the Walker County Historic Preservation Commission and the Georgia Civil War Commission has left an indelible mark on the protection and promotion of our shared past. Additionally, your service as city manager of Chickamauga reflects a deep dedication to the growth and well-being of that city and its citizens. This honor not only celebrates your many accomplishments, but also serves as a lasting reminder of the passion, vision, and integrity that you have brought to everyone you have undertaken. The naming of the Battlefield Connector ensures your contributions will be remembered and appreciated for generations to come. Please accept my sincere congratulations, John.
Thank you. Yes, this board will recognize Mr.
Oh,
Culpepper
really?
in just a little bit, so hang around, John.
Trying to.
I know. Is there anyone else?
Sign somebody to keep me away.
My name is Jeremy Monham, and I'm just going to recap a little on Concord Road. Just so everybody understands, the proposition is for not closing all of Concord Road, it's just a portion of it. That's the dirt portion of it. And the part that actually goes to the historic church is asphalt all the way from from 136 or from Tate or down that way. So the church is accessible. And in point of Mr. Grigsby, when you talked about future development of that property, I can see both sides of that. I think Mr. Weiss is trying to preserve this farm, so there is no future, 5-acre tracts. I said, so, I mean, the same thing with us. I mean, we're not gonna separate our farm and build it up, so we've got more people out there, and there goes our farmland. And we have cows on ours. Mr. Weiss right now is farming it, just like the Shahans did. And there was a point where the farm was for sale, and, I'm just thankful that Mr. Weiss was able to buy it and keep farming it. And by closing the road, the dirt road's still there, right? And that actually stops him from future development of that property. I mean, now he doesn't have a county to maintain it, and it's all on him. So future down the road, if he wanted to build it out, that's a lot of money out of pocket to get that road back open and, widened, which I can't imagine. I thought it was 30 feet, Carlin, for the easement, but whatever it is, 30 to 60 feet. I hear the number 60, and I'm thinking 60, that's gonna go right through our farm. So if you guys wanna widen that, it's gonna take, if you've been down Concord Road from East Armurchie, we got this huge oak trees, we got an old Civil War barn out there. It wipes out all that. And I just can't imagine that. So we're looking out for our farm also when we wanna, keep this closed. And granted, we're on one end. Another thing was mentioned is emergency services. We've already been told by the fire department, because we had an issue, nothing, major, but they ended up coming to the house and they came down Concord Road. First word out of Ricky Morrison's mouth was change the access address. So they come down East Armurchie. So there's no emergency that comes down Concord Road. They go down East Armurchie to get to us. Now, if this was developed, I get that. But the way it stands now, all 911 emergency services, East Armurchie to Concord Road, because we are the 3 there. And that's just the first, quarter mile, not even a quarter mile. That all our houses are right there. Then after that, it is a 1 lane. And I know a lot of people don't see garbage out there, but I think we do well as farmers to pick up the garbage. I mean, I don't let them mattress or tires sit on my farm, and like glass bottles. We got beer bottles everywhere. Well, we've also got cattle. See, I don't let it stockpile. We drive our fences, we pick up the garbage because we have to. Now, granted, is it all the time? Is it a big issue? No, but I don't feel like I need to pick up everybody's stuff just because it's convenient to throw it out. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy, last name is Monham.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, we are going to move on to the consent agenda, and you may recall at the beginning of the meeting, it was amended by Mr. Hart and Mr. Wilson, I think. So we will move, that just leaves one, actually. We'll move 15.2, 15.3, 15.4 to the end of new business. So we will talk about the consent agenda, one item. And it is to approve a consulting services agreement with Atlantic Coast Consulting. What is the board's pleasure with this one item, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Is there a second? Blake Moore? Is there any discussion? All right. To cast the final vote regarding the consent agenda, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Any voting against, say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. All right, now we'll move to new business. And this is where Mr. Culpepper is going to be recognized. So I would like to invite Mr. Culpepper to the podium, and I would like the Board of Commissioners to step down and take a picture with me with Mr. Culpepper. I have a plaque to read for him.
Guess we're gonna prove it.
That's really good.
Come right on up.
All right, this plaque is presented to John Culpepper, recognizing the vision and leadership that brought John Culpepper Chickamauga Battlefield Connector Trail to life. Thank you so much. I'll sit here.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had this vision many years ago in 2011. I'm here today because the Board of Commissioners bought into it, City of Chickamauga bought into it, the Zero Foundation, Public Trust, Land for Public Trust. Thank you. I just really appreciate this. I did thank you for this, to Chickamauga and to Walker County. And, most people, they look at it as recreational trail for walking and bicycling, and of course, you can walk downtown Chickamauga or bicycle to Chickamauga Battlefield and out safely. But to me, it's a heritage trail. It's in the corridor of Old Dry Valley Road, which basically ran from Ross's Landing at that time. Now it's had moved to the head of the cove, and a lot of settlers came from Tennessee and Virginia and traveled that Dry Valley Road to settle Walker County, McLemore's Cove, and all this side over there. Then we all know the Civil War history, that 2/3 of the Federal Army marched that road to the Battle of Chickamauga. And then bringing their wounded back to the main field hospitals at Crawfish Springs, Georgia, now Chickamauga. So it's a historic corridor to me. It's not a recreational road. Okay?
It's both.
One, I do thank you, and I love
Thank
all
you.
of you.
Thank you very much.
Archie, we've been around a long time. Love you, man. Thank all of you. I appreciate it.
I will add that along the trail, there'll be 5 other signs with Mr. Culpepper's name on them. And it is, as he alluded, it is open for pedestrian and pedal vehicles only. So go enjoy. Thank you, Mr. Culpepper, for all of your dedication.
Thank you very much.
The next one is,
We got to vote on that.
I'm sorry. Oh, I was just going to give it to him.
Might not approve it. I'm kidding.
Oh, that's just mean.
I'm saying, no, but we got to vote on it, don't we? Yes?
All right.
Yes.
I guess we should have, that's right. See, I just assumed we were going to do it. So what is the motion from the board, please?
Motion to approve.
And the second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? So passes. Congratulations, Mr. Culpepper. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? 16.2? This is, let me get over here. Let me get my papers in order here. That was 16.1. Now we're at 16.2, right? Okay. Yep. Give me just a second. I changed my page quicker than I should have. Make sure I'm talking about the right one. Okay. This resolution R-027-26 to approve a memorandum of understanding regarding disposition of certain property located in Rossville, Georgia. This is to convey 2 parcels to the Northwest Georgia Joint Development Authority for the purpose of selling these parcels. All proceeds will return to Walker County government, less any expenses that may be incurred for the sale. Is there a motion from the board, please?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Wilson made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Blakemore seconded. Is there any discussion about this matter?
Yes, I've got a question, please. So, I do know that we had outside counsel review it and everything, but I've got a question for Jay, Tankersley. Jay, are you there? So, that's the first I've heard of the lease. That's just the first I've heard of that, and I I'm kinda curious as to whether that showed up in the search that was done, or would it have, or where did you find that? Jay, just out of curiosity.
No, it was, it was the meeting minutes. I didn't.
That's just the first that I've heard of and wasn't aware of any kind of an
So,
agreement like
and
that.
to be clear, the Chattanooga Valley Middle School and the Lafette High School, the intergovernmental agreement is exactly the same. So, these, so that's for Lafette High School. That's the article.
But if nobody has done anything, it's expire.
Harris said when this was, I mean, this is what the people, these are the guidelines that they voted on to pass that squash. They were gonna get the upgrades of their school, never get their school back. And they did get all their school backs except one. And here is here are the quick claim deeds that that's for Ridgeland, and that's where Rossville will quit claim deed to do the lights in the schools. This is Board of Education's audit, shows where they spent the $1.2 million on, that's all the quit claim deeds that went back, but that's Lafette High School. These were done at the exact same moment. Lafette High School, Rock Spring, Rossville Track 2, which that was included in this. So if you wanna go back and look, that's Ridgeland, that's Rossville, Track 2, Track 1, Track 2. If you look right there, it'll say, that's Track 3. Look right here, see where it says.
Track 2.
It does, but it'll say 0.77 acres. Right? That's what was deeded back right here, 0.77 acres. That's part of that same agreement, so they all went back except the gym. So, and if you look on the dates that was quit claim deeded, and you look here, this is a agreement that started on November 20th, 2008. Commissioner Haskell. This is the agreement with Rossville and Johnny Baker. Okay, and then he said, this is what I want. She wrote it down. December 1st, 2008. Memorandum of Understanding. She gave him everything he wanted. This is January 15th. So this happened in between the first conversation and the last. And what she did was she told the school board, I'd like to keep those properties to do that. And that's why
The recreation program
that was never deeded back. So you guys can keep those if you want to. This is a, and this shows where the school board over a 3-year period, there's a map, that's track 2. So they cut that a little bit out of the auditorium to do, I think they did landscaping there with those funds. I'm gonna give you this, get out of the way.
No, you're fine. Just,
You can have it all.
just, well, I appreciate that, with this first to look through. Do you feel that there's any reason that we need to have this looked at as far as the 50-year lease? And if we do move forward, is this company gonna be bound to this 50-year lease, and are they gonna honor it?
I'll amend the motion to approve the MOU to convey upon review of that, and then whether it needs to be the school board needs to have a sit down with them. Who's the 50-year lease with? Who was the 50-year lease between?
The school board.
Yeah.
School board and the county?
And Gene, I'm gonna give you all this to look through, but I don't want to hold business up, but that's a new twist that I've not heard. I don't know if any of us have heard about that. And so I think we do need to do our due diligence for sure.
Because I mean, that's first, I mean, there's been discussions on that property. I mean, we tried to give it to the city of Rossville, right?
Mhm.
That was before my time on the board of commissioners, but it was tried to give back to the city of Rossville. They refused to take it. It sat there.
So do you want to rescind your original motion and restate what the intention of the
Make a
board is?
motion to approve the MOU agreement upon final review and discussions of the new information. But because if we go to the board and everybody sits down and says yes, then we've approved to go ahead and sign the MOU with the JDA. That needs to go before the JDA as well, because they don't have that information as well. But that way, if we make a motion to approve the MOU upon review of the final documents, then they can move forward with the MOU.
So your first motion was just to approve it as is, so you need to take that motion back.
Motion to approve.
Take that first motion back.
I'll rescind
Yep.
and amend my motion to approve
Thank you.
the MOU with the JDA on the two properties upon final review and discussions with the JDA about the 50-year lease.
Okay. Clerk, did you get all of that?
I did.
Okay. Do you want to read it back to us? I know. You may not, you're not ready, that's
Commissioner Wilson
fine.
rescinded the original motion upon discussion with the two MOUs. And the new motion is to approve the MOU upon final review of discussion on final documents, so it can move forward.
Is that close enough to what?
Close enough.
Yep, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so then we have a motion on the floor to, in that order. Is there a second?
Second to Gene's amended motion.
Okay. Is there any further discussion needed?
Just one more question. So who is going to review these?
We are outside counsel, Mr. Ken Gerard. That's where this information came from in the beginning.
I thought, just clarifying that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
So any other discussion?
No, ma'am.
To cast the final vote regarding the MOU with its amendment, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Any voting against the motion say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. Okay. Do I need to give you a minute to catch up? All right. So then we are, let me get myself caught up. All right, resolution R-028-26 to direct the sale of certain county-owned real property. This is a little different. This is a single piece of property in the Flintstone area that has to be bidded out, and this again, it comes from our outside counsel's advice. So we are asking for permission from the board to bid this piece of property out to the community. It will be a public bid. So we're just asking for permission to do that, since you all oversee the property. So I'm making the motion that we accept the offer or the request to bid. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Is there any discussion about this piece of property?
So where will they put this out? Will it go on the
It'll
county
be
website?
everywhere real estate gets,
Okay.
yeah. It would definitely be all public.
And it is 3.5 acres that the county owns that we don't have anything on and no future plans for, correct?
That's correct,
Okay.
correct.
Yes, ma'am.
This, it allows us to sell the property because it is not of any use to the county, but it will put it back on the property tax bill.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, any other discussion? Then, to cast the final vote regarding the sale of property owned by county government, all agreeing to this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All voting against the motion, say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. Okay. Now we are at resolution 029-26. This is a very long title, so I'll try to get through it. The board, this is for the board consideration to initiate the abandonment of a portion of Concord Road, the public right-of-way, between Albert Thompson Drive and East Armucci Road, as requested by the abutting property owners. And I will add that this is step 1 in this process. Step 2 will be to announce that a public hearing will be held, and that will be held at the next monthly meeting, which will be May 7th. Ahead of that public meeting, we will send direct notifications to the property owners abutting the area proposed for abandonment. If it all passes through all these steps, then the deeds will be executed following the May meeting, and then will be filed as a recording according to the law. So, is there a motion from the board to initiate the consideration of abandonment of that section of Concord Road? May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Wilson? Is there any other discussion needed on this matter?
I would like to just make a statement that, so as you stated clearly, Madam Chair, this is the first step, and there are, and I have spoken with outside counsel to understand that once we start the process, we have multiple options, and so we're not bound to anything other than starting the process, and then we'll, after our public meeting and other input, then we can look at options there. So I just wanted to add that it's not just locked in, that there are options that we can look at as far as how we would abandon it, or if we chose to keep any of that right away for future or whatever. So that was all.
Thank you, Mr. Askew.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Hart, did you have comments?
Well, just to say, and I've stated it before, I recused myself from this vote on all sides of it because of my relationship to the applicant. They are my relatives, and I'm a business partner with one of the property owners there.
Thank you for stating that.
So I do have a question on that. So we've initiated first step. If we do all vote to approve this, to initiate the start, you will have a public hearing in the May meeting. Will the second public hearing come in the June meeting?
I believe there's only one requirement for one hearing.
One hearing, then action be taken?
I think so.
I can confirm that. Hang on, I have the actual email from the lawyer, so let me see if I can find that real quick. It is one public meeting. Does that answer all the questions or any other discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So just to reiterate, the motion to approve the initiation of the consideration of the abandonment of portions of Concord Road. The motion was made by Mr. Blakemore, and the motion was seconded by Mr. Wilson. So to cast the final vote regarding the initiation of abandoning a portion of Concord Road, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone voting against say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. Okay, thank you. All right. Resolution R-030-26 to amend the fiscal year 2026 budget. Our CFO previously explained the necessity to amend this year budget, but he is going to give us more data, I guess. So
I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay.
The budget amendment is for $549,000. In revenue will increase, and so will the expenditures. This does include a $269,000 transfer out to 911 and fire.
And this was the information that the board received at the March 24th budget work session, correct?
Yes, and I made the proper changes where I included the spraying and removed the chase-free line.
Yes, okay. All right, is there a motion from the board, please, on the amendment of the current fiscal year budget? This is the first 6 months of this budget year.
Motion to amend.
That was Mr. Askew. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Wilson. Is there any discussion necessary? Christian's happy to answer questions if you have any.
I would like to say the meeting we had was very helpful.
Good.
And it gave us time to discuss that and lay it out and better understand it. It is an increase, but our revenues exceed the increase by fourfold, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, projected, we're about $1 million more in collections now this year than we were last year at this point.
So at the end of the fiscal year, we should be close to 2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you told us. Okay, yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Be careful what you promise.
I mean, I know it's projected.
Yes,
but,
it's projected.
But if we're halfway through,
economic
yeah,
issues,
I understand that. But still, even the current overage is twice what this is. You're talking.
I'm fine. She is Kirby.
Oh, I will.
Right?
Yes.
All right, so the motion was made by Mr. Askew to accept the amendment to the fiscal year budget, and it was seconded by Mr. Wilson. To cast the final vote regarding the amendment to the fiscal year budget, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone voting against the motion say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. All right, Resolution R-031-26, to amend the project list and budget for the 2020 Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, otherwise known as SPLOST. Christian, do you have any words you want to say first, or are you just there for?
This is for the 2020 SPLOST, which runs from October of 2020 to September of 2026. It's a 6-year SPLOST. Projections are way up, over 5 million, I project, that we'll receive than was initially projected. So basically, this amendment is just to true up the accounts that the projects that we've had that kind of have over exceeded the original allocation due to the prior projections. We've also added the Hinkle Fire Station funding to increase for that project that we are working on. Public Works for these 2 roads for the next 2 agenda items, and then the landfill for $175,000 in regulatory needs.
I'll just add that this action was requested at the March 24th budget work session, and it does not revise the descriptions of the categories. It only trues up the money.
Correct.
So we can actually see what is really available to spend in the future.
Yep.
In the SPLOST. Okay. Is there a motion from the board on this resolution, please?
So moved.
Mr. Hart, is there a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Wilson, any other discussion or questions for Christian? All right. To cast the final vote regarding the amendment to the SPLOST calculated amounts, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Any voting against this motion say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. All right. Purchase order 2026-00001540 to Chase Reline for $32,500 to reline culvert at Powder Springs Circle, Flintstone, Georgia. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Hart, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Blakemore? Is there any discussion from the board? All right, to cast the final vote for this reline of the culvert at Powder Springs, all in agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone voting against it say nay. Motion passes with all yeses. This next one is exactly the same thing, just a different location. Purchase order 2026-00001541 to Chase Reline for $86,500 to reline culvert at SR 136 and Abney Drive in Lafayette, Georgia. What is the pleasure of the board for this?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Hart, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Wilson, is there any discussion or questions about this one?
Well, just to add that, and we just discussed it, but both of these are being funded out of 2020 SPLOST based on what we reallocated the money for.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll add too that these actions are exactly the kind of investments that this board needs to be making. The tax dollars are collected to repair infrastructure, build roads, make our buildings and facilities more safe and keep them up to date. So I appreciate the board considering these two. These were not planned for, and they were very expensive, so thank you. All right, so to recap, Mr. Hart made the motion to approve this reline of the culvert at Abney Drive. Mr. Wilson seconded it. To cast the final vote regarding this resolution, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against the motion say nay. Motion passes then. Thank you again. All right. Now, we moved the three items from the consent agenda, so they'll come up now. The purchase order 2026-00001363 to Jenkins Chrysler Dodge Jeep for $296,520. Purchases 7 vehicles for the sheriff's office. I'll ask Captain Chris Anderson to come to the podium. And the second one is the same thing, so we'll talk about both of them at the same time. Well, Chris will. We'll vote differently, but the second one is a similar request for $85,737 for purchase of 2 vehicles for the sheriff's office. Can you give us a little bit more description about these vehicles?
Yeah, the the first 7 that's coming from Jenkins Chrysler are the Dodge Durango Pursuits. Pricing out, those are the cheapest police vehicle that we can purchase. The Fords are more expensive, Chevy's more expensive. We've got a good quote from them, and of course they're a local business, so we enjoy doing local business with them. All of this will be allocated out of the fiscal year 20 splost, and there'll still be a little bit of positive money left in those accounts once these purchases are made.
Okay. Yeah, so the first one is to Jenkins Chrysler and the second one's to Jackie Jones. Does the board have any questions for Captain?
Thank you for the update.
Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate that. So then to recap, we need the board to vote on the purchase order to Jenkins Chrysler Dodge Jeep for $296,520. What is the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Blake Moore, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion about this purchase of 7 vehicles?
We didn't reallocate. They already had their funding in there.
Yes.
Probably.
That's right.
This is still in their open budget that was allotted in 2020.
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
We didn't reallocate. I didn't think we did. I know we moved and had to reallocate, but so they had the money there originally. Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, to cast the final vote regarding the purchase of 7 vehicles for the sheriff's office, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone voting against the motion say nay. Motion passes, all yeses. The next one is the purchase to Jackie Jones Automotive for $85,737 for 2 vehicles for the sheriff's office. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Askew.
Excuse me.
Is there a second?
Second, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Is there any discussion about this item? All right, to cast the final vote regarding purchase of 2 vehicles from Jackie Jones Automotive for the sheriff's office, all agreeing to this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone voting against the motion say nay. Motion passes, all yeses. And the last one is the purchase order 2026-00001554 to, I'm sorry, that's not right. Yeah, that's right. 1554 to Jake Marshall for heating and air duct repair at the Fleet and Public Works Building. What does the board want to do with this one?
Do we need a motion first before we discuss?
Yes, so I'm asking for a motion.
Okay, then motion to deny, then I'll discuss that in a minute.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and discussion, please.
Yeah, so my question is, and Chris just talked about the vehicles, and they did price those, but you guys have sole, I mean, what's the word you use for vehicles when?
Y'all sole source.
Sole
y'all
source.
Have to get quotes from different places.
Yes. The 2 that we were getting from Jackie Jones are actually on the lot.
Yeah.
One of them is going to be a patrol vehicle. The other is a truck that we got a real good deal on. It's pre-owned that our detective division will get.
So my point is on things like this where we can get 3 local pricing. And I'd like to see us do that. I know I've done that in the past on several projects, and I would like to. And Jake Marshall's done a lot of work for us, and their work's been good. But I would like to just, for the taxpayers that are paying these, see three competitive bids on it.
Okay, so the motion is by Mr. Hart to deny this particular item, and Mr. Blakemore, I believe, made the second motion. So to make is there any further discussion necessary?
Well, I know the work's got to be done, but I would just like to see for our next meeting, or if we need to have a call meeting in 2 weeks to get this started on, but just get two more prices on it from local contractors to make sure that we're.
Okay.
He's just requesting that we get multiple bids.
Right.
Yeah,
Multiple bids.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
Right.
Okay. So to
Sorry,
cast the final vote regarding the amendment, regarding the denial of this resolution, I need to ask all agreeing to the motion to deny, say aye.
Aye.
And the motion, anyone voting against the motion to deny, say nay. So the motion passes to deny with all yeses. So, okay. And it's my understanding that we need an executive session.
Yeah.
Is that right? I need a motion for that, please, to close.
Motion for an executive session to discuss litigation, personnel, cybersecurity, and property, please.
And to close our regular agenda to have the executive session.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Is there a second motion to close our regular meeting and go into executive session for personnel and other matters? Second, Mr. Blakemore? All right, thank you. We are so closed or adjourned for just a few minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe McGee, Public Relations Director for Walker County Government. The board has just entered executive session. This is a process that allows elected officials to discuss a specific, sensitive topic behind closed doors. These are topics that are exempt from the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Executive session topics must fall into one of three categories: litigation, real estate, or personnel matters. In terms of litigation, the need may arise for the board to consult with the county attorney on pending or potential lawsuits, settlements, claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions brought by or against Walker County government, its officers, or employees. Real estate covers discussions regarding the future purchase or acquisition, disposal, or lease of property. Personnel matters would cover the discussion or deliberation on the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal of a Walker County government officer or employee. Now, if a vote is needed pertaining to an issue discussed in the executive session, it must be taken in an open meeting. Otherwise, it is not binding.
Okay, we are back in session. There was no action taken in the executive session, so I believe that is the end of the meeting, so I will adjourn. Thank you all very much.